my girlfriend and I are like redoing the downstairs of our house or her mom's house that we're taking over, and it was like her uncle who was taking care of her grandmother who lived down there, and like we moved everything out of the living room so we could like
Find a dead cat in the corner?
No, I just found a mountain of rat shit and a little rat hole and just like disgusting stuff, and
Sounds like a mythical quest.
it was. I had on the double layer like thick
Not
black
the mountain of rat shit.
like the thick latex gloves like as I'm handling the furniture because it's just
You,
about to see the
you really
rat
did have to do that theme song, though. Winter is coming.
My favorite one is Hodor.
Hodor.
I was talking to Choff one time, and he was like, "That's the way I want to go with a." he's
Didn't
like
realize Chuff sounded like that.
with a how's it? He's like with wine in my hand and my mouth around a cock.
His mouth?
Yes.
He was like, you mean her mouth around the cock?
And oh my god, he got shit for that for so long.
He was like, shit.
He's like, no, shit.
Let me tell you about yesterday, my whole fiasco. That was a shit show and a half. So, little backstory. Our dryer went out in our house. One of the fuses was going out. So, like, it's crazy, though, because this was, like, one of those situations where if I wasn't aware enough, house would 100% burnt down one day, like, with us not being there. Because just letting it run. So, I'm walking in the kitchen. It's, like, noon. And I look behind the dryer. And I'm like, the fuck is glowing back there? I'm like, is that a light? I'm like, I know there's not a light back there because I took off that panel and I can see in there. And I look at that, and a bolt that I have in there is fucking just scalding red. It's just fucking,
Ooh, yikes.
yes, it's just red. And I'm like looking down the cord, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I like take it off.
Hot.
The cord is like burning down the back of the cord. So I was
Snap,
like,
dude.
so like 100% scenario where
You
the house
just,
would have
you
burned
just
down.
missed,
And then,
yeah,
like,
you missed a house fire
so
by
then-
then.
Yes.
Imagine like some dryer lint gets back there. Do you know how
100%.
flammable that shit is?
100%.
My dad carries. So my dad's a big like backpacker, outdoorsy fella, and he carries around like a pill bottle full of dryer lint that he uses to start his fires because it burns so hot and so
He's
fast.
just got this
and, like,
issue. He can't stop eating
You know what
lint.
you don't, I'm telling
He
you,
just can't stop eating
you
lint.
know what you gotta do? You gotta get cotton balls and petroleum jelly. Just wrap them in there,
Yeah.
throw them in a Ziploc bag.
I grilled out a couple days ago,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize I was out of lighter fluid, and I looked up like a quick method that would help. And if you soak paper towels in vegetable oil
Mhm.
and then just throw it under the coals, it'll like stay lit for a while.
Oh shit.
And that worked 10 times better than lighter fluid. And technically, it's like healthier than lighter fluid
than
is.
breathing
'cause-
in lighter fluid, yeah.
Right,
Because like
right.
the fumes and shit, that makes sense.
in your
Yeah.
food because all the chemicals. So from now on,
That's her go-to
for
method.
you backwoods grillers out there, drench your paper towels in vegetable oil, throw it under your coals, and call it a day.
Oh hell! Now I gotta go out and buy paper towels,
let me
then
go
buy
try this.
vegetable oil. You think I'm using none of that shit? What about some fucking bacon grease in my grandma's towel? Huh? That'll work. Shit.
So
Welcome to episode 5, the Foxhole.
The return of Blake.
Blake has returned. He was
on
off
the
in the
drink.
woods somewhere.
Off in the woods doing some bullshit. Well,
Like
no, I
beat his
think.
meat in a porter
What, did
john.
you guys do it Friday night or Saturday night?
Friday night.
Friday,
night.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. We should have came home and then we just didn't.
That
Sounds
sounds
about
about
right.
right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
anyway,
Uh,
I'm Blake.
Jarvis,
I'm Greg.
the huge.
The main trio.
Yeah,
That
so
ass B.
we didn't come in with a topic, but there's a few things I want to hit, and if y'all want to hit some stuff too, we can sort of
Yeah.
just go in. First thing I want to start off with is I wanted to talk a little bit about dreams.
Ooh.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about not only our perception on what dreams are meant for or why we have them, but like just some weird dreams we've personally had, maybe that you remember, or some questions
I
y'all
had a
been
couple
thinking
weird
about
ones.
in your heads. Is
Yeah.
I got a lot. This is perfect conversation because I've been on this dream journey for a long time, like on and off. I'm out the army again, so I'm kind of back on it a little bit more. And I've been trying to induce lucid dreaming to also induce OBEs, out of body experiences. So the big thing that I've learned about myself is for the longest, like I just go to the void. Like I close my eyes, I go to sleep, see nothing. Now that I'm trying to consciously more do it, I'm doing like reality checks throughout the day. I've been having more. I can legit say like I dream every single night, but the hardest thing for me is to remember those things. but I've been getting weird because I'll be in my dream and I'm like, all right, what's happening in your dream? I'll say that, like, what's happening? Remember everything, and then I'll still be asleep, so I forget it.
Dreams are so weird. If you write your dreams down when you wake up, every single night, like if you just the first time you remember anything because it's so quick you can forget it. But if you start writing it down and then you just force yourself to remember it, then you'll remember it forever. I know the very first dream I ever had because I consciously thought about it afterwards, and then it stuck in my brain. I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
First dream I ever had, it was the ground was just all like brown rock. And there was just like a bunch of skeletons killing everyone. And I remember the sky was red.
That is interesting.
The skeleton came up to me and shot me. And I didn't feel anything. I fell on the ground and I'm just looking around. And I'm like, my 3-year-old or 4-year-old self was thinking, all right, if I don't move, I'll be okay. And then I saw a skeleton make eye contact with me. And I just felt fear. And then it like grabbed a sword, brought it to me. And I woke up like screaming.
So that's interesting. Would you consider that a nightmare?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think it's common for young kids to have nightmares? Because the first dreams that I can remember are all nightmares. Like when I was probably about 3, 3 or 4, within that range.
I think that nightmares are probably a little more
Memorable.
jolting, and that's why you remember them. Because dreams
they invoke emotions.
Are so easy to forget that if you don't think about them, you forget. And as a kid, a scary dream is something you're probably going to think about more.
So I, for whatever reason, probably caught a little bit of Child's Play when I was a little too young, the Chucky movie.
Yeah.
So as like a 2 to 4-year-old, I had repetitive nightmares like about Chucky, and like I remember one where there was just this giant Chucky head, and his little army of Chuckies were coming after my grandma. There's nothing I could do, and then at one point I was 3 for sure, and my older uncle put on the ghost face mask from Scream and chased me around my grandma's house out in the dark for a good while. So I couldn't even like look at a Scream mask until I was probably 13, and I would have nightmares about that.
You know what's fucked up about that too a little bit is us being older and doing it, tormenting kids. Like, it's entertaining to us, but we don't realize how traumatic
how much
it is.
You fuck those kids up. Like, now I love horror, so it worked out, I guess. But like, I remember this one dream I had that has stuck with me for the longest time, where me, my mom, and one of my sisters were being held captive by this group of like ghost face individuals. And they were keeping us captive in a morgue, and we had to sleep in, like, the pull-out body trays. I didn't even know what a fucking morgue was. And I was seeing that, like...
See, dreams are weird in terms of, like, I feel like your subconscious picks up on things, and you know things you don't even know you know, and you find that out in the dreams, because it's, like, almost like your dream is made up of your subconscious. So, like, scientists can't fully prove, like, what dreams are for, and they've got a lot of theories. In terms of a non-spiritual, like, secular point of view, my own theory on the dream world, which isn't actually, like, my strongest theory, because I am a little more spiritual thinking, but my secular version of the theory of dreams is that our brains use dreams as a survival mechanism, and it's your brain preparing for anything that might possibly happen. And that's why people sometimes dream the future, because their brain's always trying to prepare for possible outcomes that sometimes it actually is accurate. And so the reason we see like weird shit in our dreams is because of movies and games and things like that, and our subconscious brain doesn't know that that's not real. And I would say, if this is true, then probably like 100 years ago, before all this like media, people didn't have dreams like they do now. And I think that maybe our dreams are designed to just whatever might be the most possible dangerous situation gets played in your mind to prepare you for it.
Well, if I remember correctly too, I think like the REM cycle is where you like learn shit, where like your brain is teaching you. So say you learn something new during the day, at night when you
it's when your brain
dream and
retains what you learned.
Yeah, and it's like informing your body about.
For all of you who are trying to learn stuff, if you sleep after you learn something, you'll retain it better if you get a good amount of sleep.
All you need is that really REM. So have you ever heard of what is it called? It's like a sleeping pattern where you sleep 2 hours. You sleep long enough for your REM, so it's like you sleep 2 hours.
Yeah, so every sleep cycle, because you go through multiple sleep cycles throughout the night, every sleep cycle is 90 minutes. Yeah. And the end of the sleep cycle is REM sleep. So you got like stage 1, 2, 3 REM.
Yeah.
And at the end of a sleep cycle, whenever you're in like REM sleep, it's when you're like, or like towards the end of REM, it's when you're most easy to wake up.
Yeah.
And that's when, right at the end of a sleep cycle, is when you should wake up.
Yeah.
Because your body's not in full recovery mode anymore. And every new cycle, it starts a new recovery process.
Because your body
So
resets itself back down, and if you
Right.
wake up off of REM cycles, that's when you.
So
feel
you
most
should set
fatigued.
your sleep cycle in 90-minute increments. So instead of getting 7 hours of sleep, you should get 6 hours of sleep or 7.5 hours of sleep.
You should always check in
90-minute
on that.
increments, and you'll feel so much more rested. That's why if you wake up, you're like, oh man, I got like 8 hours of sleep, but you feel tired. It's because you woke up in the middle of a cycle,
But I
not
also-
because you
also
didn't get
agree
enough
to
sleep.
Waking up naturally, not to alarms.
Yes,
waking up
that-
to some huge
That's
factor.
beautiful.
What I used
Huge
to do is
factor.
I'd go to sleep like just after the sun went down, and I'd like might leave my windows, the blinds open, and I'd wake up with the sun. Oh, that was the best fucking time of my life.
That's like a spiritual practice too.
Yep.
I've had some what do they call it? The dreams.
Inception.
No. Where you can't move, you can't talk.
Oh, sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis
Where you
has
see-
happened to me
you
only
see the
once.
demons.
Right.
I've had it a couple times.
I've had it
And
a few
I've never seen
times.
the demons.
I was
I felt them.
like 10 years old, and I was sleeping in my bed, and it was morning time, and I remember opening my eyes, and the room looked normal, and it was the same time of day as it was when I woke up right after paralysis ended. So nothing changed from sleep to wake, according to if it was real, you know. And so I wake up, I open my eyes, and I just have this weird feeling, and I look at my closet door, and it's slightly cracked open, and I try and like get up, but I like can't get up. I can move a little bit, but I can't get up. So I start like trying to talk. My mouth is moving, but no noise is coming out. And then I see the closet door like slowly start to open, and then there's like a almost like a. It looks like what like maybe an old lady zombie demon would look like, and just
Like
started
the lady from the bathtub lady from The Shining.
started walking towards me, right? And 10 years old, that life over. About to have a heart attack. I'm so scared because it feels real. Everything, all my senses are there. It's like how you feel in real life.
Yeah.
And I can't stop moving. And this lady gets on top of me, starts like grabbing my neck, and I can feel the pressure. And I just start screaming. And I know that if I can convince myself it's not real, I can wake up. And I could. It's almost like I felt like I had to like convince myself to a certain point before I would wake up. And I was just like forcing myself. I had to get to like a mental point for it to stop. And I finally did, and it stopped. And I like there was almost no like, oh, I'm waking up. It was just like instantly it's gone. I'm like,
Yeah.
what just happened? Same time of day and everything. That was a weird point to have experienced. Changed my outlook on
I
life a
think
little bit.
my first sleep paralysis was I was 7, and I had a big thing against dolls at the time. It's still one of my
Fuck them.
biggest fears, dude. Just fucking dolls. What if they come alive? You don't fucking know. Little
I've
toys-
seen way too many movies of dolls just over here like
Man, dude, Dead Silence is one of the scariest movies I've ever fucking seen.
fucking they beady eyes just staring at you in the dark and
Oh
never
my
blinking.
god, especially
like,
the porcelain ones. Like, fuck
Dolls that have like voice to talk buttons.
that. Oh, hell no.
But then say something they're not supposed to say.
To the no.
They say your name.
But I fucking... So I was probably like 7. I was laying in bed, and I woke up. Or at least I thought I had woken up, and I couldn't move. And above my head, like looking directly up, it was like this white cloud type thing, like almost a TV screen. And like this guy walks out, and it's just this white background, and he's like on like what would have been the floor, I guess. And he just sets down Chucky and then Slappy from Goosebumps, and then he walks off. And they just like start talking about how they're gonna like fuck me up or some shit, and they both get up on their stubby little legs and start walking towards me. But it's like a weird like
They're hobbling.
vertigo effect, I guess, because I'm looking up and they're walking down towards me. Like it is fucking. Just like you were saying, like I had to force myself to like it's not real. This is a dream. I have to fucking. Rah.
I'm super. So I don't know if you guys ever had dreams inside of dreams. No, it's probably your last story you talking about. It's like a dream inside a dream. I've had.
Yeah.
I was actually about to bring this topic up.
So
Real quick though. What drink check? What's everyone drinking?
Oh,
I got the Rona seltzer, boy.
yep. I
think
got
mine's-
that mango.
Mine's
aroma.
cherry.
I've got the Big Bang black coffee.
I've heard to put coconut oil in your coffee, and it's like a whole game changer.
I love black coffee.
I don't know if I haven't tried it yet. I bought some
You
coconut
trying to
oil.
keto
to try
it up?
I don't.
It's supposed to like clear your mind of the fog or whatever. But then I asked somebody else about it, and they were like, "No, it's like somebody jizzed in your coffee."
I'll
So-
just stick with what I know. All right, you were saying.
All right, so I'm
Dreams
gonna
within
come
dreams.
back to the dream inside of dreams.
All right,
I have
because
two great
I've got some
stories.
stuff to
I
say
got
about
two
that
stories
too.
to those. So, I can kind of segue into both of those because they're kind of similar. So, usually when I have dreams, whether they're scary or not, or somebody's attacking me, like they usually just play out. I don't know. Maybe my brain's like, okay, this is not factual. But what I do have that's happened to me twice now is that I can kind of segue back into that one. So, 2 nights in a row, I had a dream. I remember, everybody knows about the witching hour. So, like, waking up periodically at 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 a.m. or like
Yeah.
right around there.
So-
Yeah, between 3 and 4.
So I remember, it's around the same time that the Paranormal Activities first movie came out. At 3 a.m. was the main scene when shit would start happening in movies. So my brain was kind of programmed off of that, and I would wake up frequently throughout the
Right
night.
at 3 a.m.
Yes, like every night.
I've
And-
had that happen where it's rhythmic.
Yeah.
3 a.m. I feel like something's weird. I feel like I see something. Worst feeling ever.
Yes.
Especially when you look at the clock and it's the same time you woke up the night before.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like it'll be dead on or a
Yeah.
minute like variation.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So I remember laying in bed one night, and usually if I'm sleeping, if I'm laying there and I gotta take a piss, I'm just like, fuck it, hold it in, just go back to sleep, you'll be all right.
Can't trust that empty space.
Yeah. So I this night particularly, I was just like, fuck it, just go to use the bathroom real quick, you'll go back to bed. It's like 1 o'clock.
Dead Space, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like it's 1 o'clock. It's like 1:01, and I'm like, okay. So I get up, take a piss, get back in bed, and from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, I'm tossing and turning. I can't fall back to sleep. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like I can't go to sleep. I finally go to sleep, and I think it's like 3:12, and all I hear is Greg out of nowhere.
I moving to Canada.
They
They don't have demons there.
I shit you not. Like how I can describe it is like I don't know how you can describe something that have like fire in its belly, but that's what it
The
sounded like.
Balrog.
Yeah, like it felt like that, and it said my name so clear that it woke me up like dead out of my sleep, and I was just like, "Fuck no."
When
I'm
when
not
things
going-
happen, when you're like at that point of half sleep, half awake, and you hear it or see it, and
Yeah.
you know it's real, but you feel like it's like communicating to you through the dream world, knowing that you're awake. Like I know what you're feeling.
Yeah, I kid you not. Like, I'm not afraid of a lot of things, but at that point in time in my life, like at that, like for that week, I literally that night I stayed awake until 6 a.m. until I saw the sun coming up because I
It's
was
safe to
so
sleep now.
afraid to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I was so afraid, but then I eventually like 6 o'clock hit, I crashed. Luckily I didn't have to work that day. I crashed.
Yeah.
Same like fast forward 24 hours later to the next night when I'm dreaming because now like this is on my mind. I'm still like nervous to go to sleep because of what happened the night before. I'm just laying there, and I remember my body position too. So picture like if you're at your 6 o'clock looking towards your 12. I'm rolled over to my right shoulder looking towards the wall, and I'm sleeping this way.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And I'm like laying there, and out of the darkness now, out of the void, I see this face just shoot out of the void. Black. So have you seen Insidious?
Yeah.
You remember the demon they had in Insidious? Kind of looked like that, but his mask was yellow. He had yellow stripes and it was black. And all I hear him come out and go, "Ma!" And I shit you not, I'm dead asleep. I shit you not, he goes, "Ma!" And I jolt back out of my bed, like I jump so hard, like I jump out of my sleep. Because I was like
The
freaked
scariest thing I think like that you can experience.
By the way, the Balrog is the big shadowy demon that Gandalf fights on the bridge. and
Oh,
finds
okay,
in the
I
water.
got you.
Mm.
But the scariest thing I think you can experience or like witness are things that aren't supposed to happen. Like the traditional monster is less scary than like maybe like some figure saying weird noises like
Yeah.
"Ma!" You know, some weird tall slender man who's like slapping his knees together. Like that's not normal. Get away from me. That's way scarier than just a bear in the closet.
out. Like that shit scared the shit out of me. Now bring this forward to current day, maybe like a month ago. So my wife works nights now, and I'm laying in bed and same shit happens. Like I remember, and it's crazy because this goes back to this, and I remember So in the dream, I was looking at a little Asian man. He was in front of me.
He's always Asian. Man.
Yeah, he was over here fucking with something in the ground, and I'm like, oh, I just need the screwdriver. And I was like, hey, that dude back there has a screwdriver. So we go back to him, and I see he's like hodgepodge down like with a screwdriver, and I see the screwdriver's like twisted up, like almost spiraled. And I was like, what did he do to this? And at the same time, like everything goes black. Like I don't register that everything went black after this whole scenario. And then like all I do is I'm sitting there and I'm like, because now this is like me trying to get more into spirituality, trying to actually induce lucid dreaming. Like I'm in the void, I'm in the complete darkness, I'm in the void, and like I see the face so the face like pops behind me, and he's like looking at me, and I turn around and I like freak out and I jump. But it was like, but this is different than the other scenario because this face didn't seem like it had malicious intent. This face didn't seem like it was intentionally trying to scare me. It seems like it was watching me. It was just watching what I was doing the whole entire time. And when I registered that he was there, that's what scared me because I'm like, there's darkness. All I see is this. And I'm just seeing a face like, and same thing. And I jumped hard and I slid across the bed. But this time I was like, fuck it. And I just went back to sleep.
Hit your spouse.
I went right back to sleep.
So that's a story about a friend of mine who had a real big issue with sleepwalking. And he said he woke up one time and there was a demon in bed next to him. So obviously he punches.
Wait, mate, you don't belong here.
He punches this demon in the face, and he was living in dorms at the barracks. Runs out into the hallway, and this man's naked, and like runs outside and sees like
Demon's just trying to get.
He sees a couple demons, and this one demon comes up to like try and grab him, and he just like throws this demon on the ground, and then like comes to and realizes that he just threw this guy on the ground who was trying to help him. He's butt ass naked. Sees the two girls he was with. Realizes all he can do is run back home, so he runs into his dorm and his girlfriend's like, where'd you go? Why'd you punch me in the face?
Like, I'm sorry.
Fuck, I had a
get away, Lucifer.
I had like a sleep paralysis demon moment a couple years ago, and this is like right after I moved to North Carolina, and I was in my room, and like the bed's up against the wall, and I was laying on my left side against the wall, and you know how when a door opens, you can feel like the pressure in the air change. So like I felt that, and I felt like the door opening, and you can feel when someone enters a room, and I felt.
And I feel like you can feel different people's or entities' presences differently.
You're very hypersensitive in your sleep.
Yeah, and plus like at different points, and depending on who's around, I feel like like they carry a different presence, and I feel like you can really sense that.
So I felt like the air pressure of the room changed the door opening, and it's that. And then I felt something like coming up and walking up.
I know this feeling.
And I was just like, because you get like you know when someone hovers their hand over your leg and you get like that tingling on your leg. And I was laying there and I could just feel something coming up behind me.
You're just like hoping and praying you don't feel something touch you.
Exactly. And then what it was is I could feel that tingling as the hand came closer and closer to my shoulder. And then it was just like, as soon as it fucking grabbed, I was like, hell nah, I woke the fuck up. Hit the light, and like my door's still shut, nothing's there. I had to get up and check the closet.
Except you don't wake up, you turn around, it really is a demon. Your worst nightmare came true.
I'll be ready to fight in my dreams, man.
Lock my door.
So we'll come back to the horror.
Because I think a lot of the standout ones are. I do have some like crazy normal. I have some really good like crazy.
I've got some like weird intellectual type dreams that aren't scary as well.
But those are the most predominant ones that stick out in my brain, or the scary ones.
Do you guys ever have dreams where you have superpowers?
Yeah. I have had those, yes. I actually almost convinced myself in kindergarten that I could teleport because I couldn't differentiate between the dream and real life. And then I thought I could so much so that I convinced my friends that I could. I'm like, listen, you trust me, right?
I have.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And then they say, like, perception is reality. If you believe it, it should be able to be achievable. It's everyone else.
I really sat there and tried.
It's everyone else who has...
I know I did this before.
I always have an issue in my dreams where I have superpowers where I can't have them. Like I have a dream where I can fly, and it takes such an immense.
Do you struggle with superpower dysfunction?
I'll be flying.
Take super Viagra.
I'll be flying in my dream, and I can only hit about 20, 30 feet, and then I start like floating back down.
Underperforming.
I know, and I gotta like consciously like, come on, motherfucker, like you can fly.
Well, that's the thing with like OBEs, like that's something you can do should be able to do naturally.
It's like it's like when you're in a dream and you know you're dreaming, but if you consciously think it, you stop dreaming.
Yeah.
And you know that you're dreaming, but you can't like
Dude.
really think it. It's like you gotta kind of think it.
I had a dream I was Spider-Man, right? And I was like flipping through for a little bit, and then I couldn't flip no more. And I was telling all my friends, I was like, guys, I'm Spider-Man. I swear to fucking God, but I just can't do it right now.
I think maybe are all of these dreams representations of some real world issues you maybe have.
My dick is working fine, I swear.
He's like, but
I've used it like twice today. Jeez.
I want to get within dreams, but I've got something better because on deployment, I started writing down every dream that I had, which gave me the ability to remember the dreams so much more. And the more you remember them, once you're in the dream, you're a little more conscious of it. So then you can really remember every specific detail. It's like you get better with practice somehow.
I only have one.
And so I remember now because I physically wrote down like about 15 dreams, and I remember each of them. But some of the craziest of the bunch, which I don't think any of those dreams, at least 80% of them, I was like brutally murdering someone. It was just like, I guess the theme of that dream season.
Right.
That's just where my mind was
a little bit
at.
Indoctrination of being deployed.
Yeah, we were deployed, and we were.
My mindset was probably just preparing me to kill someone, and like I had to get in that mindset. So in my dream world, it's like telling me like, "Nah, you're good with this. Watch, kill that family," and I'm like, "All right, not Jimmy." So let's see. All right, one of the crazier dreams I was in like some like African nation, like maybe like Madagascar or something, like big open fields of like crazy animals, but there was like a little like river with a bunch of like workers, and they were like doing some sort of farming or fishing, and there was a guy next to me with a clipboard, and he was writing down everything I was doing, and there was a little like white foldable table next to me with a few guns on it, and I remember just grabbing a Tommy gun and just start mowing people down, and he's just writing stuff down, and he's like nods to me, and I'm like, all right, and then I start shooting him, and I'm like hoping he nods a little bit more than just like a half nod, and he looks at me and he's like, yeah, it gives me a little grin. I'm like, okay, so that's the gun, okay, and I'm just like mowing people down, and then out the corner of my eye I see Cat in the Hat, and he's got a gun too. and Cat in the Hat starts shooting at me, and so I start shooting at him. And then he gets down on all fours like a regular cat, not like a like a hind leg cat.
Not a humanoid getting on
not
all
like a
fours.
bipedal.
And then he runs away with the cheetahs. And then so like the rest of the dream, I'm hunting down my mortal enemy. I know he's my mortal enemy, Cat in the Hat.
Oh yeah,
Because he wants to stop me from murdering random people. And then like somehow we're in a mall, and I'm just like going up to random people, and I shoot one person in the head. And then I look around and I just like see Cat in the Hat in the corner, like in the distance. And I'm like, he's here. And it was just like this weird dream where me and Cat in the Hat were just at each other. Cat in the Hat was the hero and I was the villain.
That's a short film right there. Oh my God. So dreams within a dreams.
Okay, yeah.
One of my most prominent ones, I think, is I took an afternoon nap. Like, we had this like chaise that would sit under this staircase in my dad's house, and my dad's always had super nice houses, so it was like middle of the day, it was summer, the sun was in, like it was beautiful.
He had a sunroom, huh?
No, it was just a lot of windows.
I need one of those.
He has a sunroom in his new house. He lives in like a farmhouse now on 10 acres. It's awesome. But anyway, so I'm laying on the chaise and like took myself a little nap, and in a dream like I didn't register that it was fake because it was like in the neighborhood, everything was normal, but there was just like kind of weird shit in the sky, and there was this little girl who was like kind of akin to like the girl from The Ring, and just like cursing people, and like they were dying and shit, and then like she cursed my dad, and I was like, yo, I can't deal with my dad dying because this little girl, because I was trying to hunt her down. Like I was real big into Supernatural at the time, the TV show.
Yeah, you ever like just get so into dreams, like it's like that feels more real than real life, and when you wake up you're like, what? This is real? That wasn't that I put my whole life into that person.
I have a story about that too, but like I realized that my dad was cursed, and that there was nothing I could do. Like, this girl was literally unstoppable. I've been trying for so long.
Damn.
And I saw it, and I was like, wait a goddamn hot minute. This is a dream! And I was like, fuck it, I'm waking up. And
that didn't cause you to know it's a dream. You just see, like, your favorite shoes and they're the wrong color. You're like, wait a minute.
You know, it really could be something that simple.
Not the girl that's cursing everyone, but the shoes. They're the wrong color.
So I just, like, kind of look, and then, like, at my eye level, right in the middle, I just see this line, and then everything starts to open up and just split in half, and, like, the world's falling apart.
Oh, shit, he found out.
What it was my eyes opening. Like, literally, my eyes opening was tearing this world apart. So I wake up, and I'm in my house. Everything's normal. I'm like, God, thank fucking God. That was terrifying. And my dogs run up to me, and I'm like, oh, shit, you guys need to go outside. And I go to let him out, and I had this white pit bull and a little, like, beagle chihuahua mix. And then I go to let him out, and then they come up to me again. And then more of them come up, and there's like 80 fucking dogs in my house, and they're just copies of each other, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in another one! And I like do my Super Saiyan fucking, I'm out of this bitch! Get me out of here! And then I woke up again, and I'm like walking around my house, like touching everything, like, is this real? Is this real? Am I still in the dream? I was fucking stressed for a minute.
I'll one-up you.
I'm still dreaming to this day.
I'll one-up you.
I think I know this story, actually. Because we spent 6 hours in a tower one time just telling dream stories.
Yeah. So, the dream was, I was in my regular neighborhood. And this dream was the least realistic of the dreams. Like, in terms of, like, me being there, it's like a foggy memory. It's like how the dream was.
That's how most of my dreams
And so, I just remember, like, there were a bunch of medieval knights in the neighborhood just cutting people down. And then they, like, left.
This is normal.
And then the FBI came, and they're, like, questioning everyone, like, hey, are you aware that your son was just cut in half by an FBI, or by a knight? And they're like, oh, no, sir. What can I help you with? And I'm just like, oh, man, I really hope Patrick didn't get cut in half. So I leave my house. I don't even care about them. I'm, like, going to check on my friend. And I just, like, really quickly realized, like, knights aren't supposed to be cutting people in half in this neighborhood.
You go down south side. You go south of the train tracks. You got all sorts of knights cutting people in half down there.
Not in our neighborhood.
Not in our neighborhood.
We pay too good to get cut in half. And so anyway.
Neighborhood watch around here real solid.
Real shortly after, because I was talking to FBI, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what are these questions and answers? And I wake up, and it was Christmas, and I was in my aunt and uncle's house. But it was a house I'd never been in, but I just knew, because like in your dream, you just know, whether or not it's like something you recognize. Like Dream You already knows sometimes. Yeah. They're like, this is your aunt and uncle's house. That's Timmy. I'm like, who the fuck is Timmy? But I know Timmy in the dream.
Yeah.
And we're like best buds or whatever. But anyway, we're like whole extended families there. We're all talking, and I remember just like thinking, like, man, that dream was kind of weird, and like consciously thinking about that dream. And so I just, like, go step outside to get away, and there was, like, a fire truck in the driveway. And I'm like, nobody here drives a fire truck.
Right?
Like, I don't even know the place, but I'm like, yeah, nobody here drives a fire truck. That's kind of weird. And, like, I go back inside, and I'm talking to everyone, and I'm like, I just kind of feel like I just had this dream, and it's kind of weird. And they're like, well, are you dreaming now? And I'm like, am I dreaming now?
You were like, that shattered your brain.
And then I'm like, am I dreaming now? And then I woke up, and I'm like, oh, shit. And then this time, I'm in my right room, right? And it's morning. And I'm like, that dream, like, felt so real. And I'm like, oh, my. First thing I do is I get up, I go to my mom's room, I knock on her door, I go in there, and I'm like, Mom, like, I just had the weirdest dream within a dream, and it felt so real. And she's like, asking me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it was like super real, and I thought I was dreaming and everything. And then like
and she said, are you in a dream
no
now?
She just like didn't say anything, and I'm just like looking around, and like it's just like time froze for a second. I'm like looking around and stuff, and everything feels real, and I'm just like, this can't be a dream. I remember telling myself, this can't be a dream. And then like my mom's just like not talking, like she's just like there, like a piece of furniture. And woke right back up, like rewinded 30 seconds, same time of day and everything, back at my room. I'm like, no. And I'm like, this time, so far, like,
you've been awake.
I haven't woken up from then until I went back to sleep. So I think I'm in real world.
So the
but
deepest you've
the
gone is
rest
3
of
levels.
that day, I went deeper once, but it was the same dream over and over again.
Okay.
And there was this 12-foot centipede that was like in the couch, and it kept messing with me while I was on the couch, and I kept waking up, and it kept being there, and it just kept happening. That was
you were
stressful
in a
as
loop?
fuck. Yeah.
Stuck in a loop. I've never been stuck in a loop.
And that was like 5. But this one, when I finally woke up and I was back where I was, I told myself, I'm like, I'm not getting out of bed, and I don't know if this is real or not, and I'm just so confused. And like I just like was broken for a whole hour at least. I couldn't even like really get my thoughts straight. I'm like, how do I know this isn't a dream? And I'm like, I don't anymore, because that felt so real before the one that felt so real. Like it all feels so real. This feels just as real. It was
You gotta
weird.
get them reality checks, man. But even then,
You need Inception, the little like piece that you bring with
that's
you.
a reality
Yeah,
check.
the
Yeah.
totem.
He's
Yeah.
totem. That's so like the deepest I've gone is 2. I've probably gone deeper and I just don't remember. But
Yeah,
the
because
deepest I can
you
remember.
have so many more dreams.
They
than
say
what
you dream
remember.
every night,
Yes.
and if you don't remember, like if you feel like you didn't dream, your brain did not remember it.
Because
that's
you
usually-
have like hundreds
yeah.
of dreams. Every dream only lasts like 3 to 5 seconds.
I've had dreams though, and they felt weird because it felt like a lifetime.
I
in a
know
dream.
they feel
but I
so
think
long.
that what happened was the dream lasted like maybe my brain chemical got stuck in a loop. I was in REM sleep for a really long time or whatever stage of sleep where you're dreaming, and the dream was real time. Like 8 hours long.
So you think that, but it's not.
Within 8 seconds.
It's literally
Well,
8 seconds.
The amount of that.
It's just your synapses are fine and time's slower. Like it's
There was so much like it would be crazy if it was 8 seconds
because it's just like
it was like I was
even
in the dream. It felt like months.
Yeah, 'cause-
and then like comparatively, like memory wise, I had hours of memories.
Yeah.
because even in Inception, they're like time lasts longer here than than outside, like in the movie.
Because
Well,
you
I don't think we should judge real life based on Inception.
Hey man, Chris Nolan knows what he's talking about, right?
Who's the guy that explains the movie the whole time while he's in the movie? The guy that's
all
always
of the characters that
Yeah.
so that's an issue with Chris Nolan movies is all of his characters are just like this is what is happening in the movie. This is exposition. That's why I can't watch The Dark Knight anymore. Because you watch The Dark Knight and you realize it's all it is just people explaining the movie and then like some dude in the background who's like no more dead cops.
the weirdest dreams I've had that I'm like I'd like an answer to are dreams that are like in sequential series that are split up between large portions of time.
Did Greg get to tell his dream within a dream story?
No, continue.
Okay.
So
I just don't want that to get lost because I'm interested.
yeah, we'll keep it fresh on the brain. So I'll have this has happened like I have like a few series I'm working on, I guess.
Oh, continue
Because
with
I'll
dreams
have
throughout
it
the time.
Yeah,
right. So like
yeah.
when I'm 6, I'll have a dream, right? And I'll have some sort of a task, and I like know what I'm doing, and I've got to get through like these puzzle games, and I'm like I've got this own like family there, my own name there, and like my own person. I look different in that dream, and I like will go, and it feels like hours that I'm like doing something, and when I wake up, I'm like that was weird. Like I felt like I was doing that for a reason. Well, a year passes, right? And I forget about the dream, but the second I start the dream, I start
pick up
off
where you left
where
off.
I left off then, and I remember everything, but only while I'm in that dream. And obviously, when I wake up, I remember again, and it's like, oh, okay. And so, like that dream makes like in the dream I remember, and I like pick up right where I left off, and like 2-3 years will pass, and I'll pick off where I left off from that dream. And I've got like a couple series of those dreams where like I've got my own like dream story I'm working on, and it's really interesting.
So I real quick before we go back to Greg's dream within a dream, I used to date this girl who told me about every year, right around like the same day almost, she has this dream where something happens, and it's like something at her house and her brother and like coming around the corner. Like I don't really remember, but every year it goes a little bit further, and then the next year she starts at the beginning every time
Interesting.
and just makes it a little bit further.
That's similar to how one of mine is.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And I like can skip parts. I know that there's a door in the top of this field within this warehouse that the Joker's blocking with his school bus, because that door goes to the like candy cane world where everyone's 2 feet tall. And like I know that after I talk to Bill, like I'm gonna get the key that goes like somewhere. The door will be in the woods.
I hope this
made
is
out of
actually
like
your dream and you're not just making shit up.
this is one of the dreams. And it started off because the Joker was taking us on a bus to this giant building that had a field with inside it.
Heath Ledger?
And yes, Heath Ledger
Okay,
Joker.
good.
And there's like one picket fence that is like just 12 feet long, and it's like in the middle of the field. Just one side of picket fence. That's it. And I just remember like he's like, you can't get over the fence. And then like we go and everybody starts doing their thing. Ignore him. Like, well, okay, Joker. And but I remember this like there was like this like parkour puzzle on the side of the wall that I had to get up, and I had to crawl through this whole like Narnia style to a different
Nathan
dream
Drake
world.
over here.
And this dream world, it's like everything's made out of candy and everyone's 2 feet tall, and I'm still like this random character in the dream, and like everybody's just like looking at me like it's normal that I'm there, but I don't think it's normal because everyone's the wrong size and color, and
Bro,
The wrong color. Hold on.
yeah,
This
I'm
is
talking
2020.
like pink and blue, okay?
Hey, man. Pink lives matter.
But yeah, the last part that dream, I was talking to Bill, and he like ran this little shop of keys, and like I had to figure out which key I needed. But the very first dream of that one, like I was on the bus and I got to that place, and then I was just like wandering around the room and stuff. But the second time, like I was already in the room, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, and I had more time this time, and I felt like I knew I had a limited amount of time.
So you're like, let me try to get knocked out as fast as possible.
Like I'm almost like conscious that it's like not the world that I'm normally in.
Yeah.
But I'm not telling, like I don't know it's a dream while I'm there. I just know it's a different world, and I'm conscious of regular world. But it's like in the dream, I don't tell myself it's a dream. I tell myself this is another world that I'm a part of.
I have a little theory that consciously, like, dreams are gateways to other dimensions, and or dreaming, like, I forget that the TV show is that whenever you go to sleep, you're actually entering your next avatar, and you're playing out your life through that avatar.
Like parallel universes and stuff.
Yeah,
and
so like when they go to sleep over here, we're conscious.
You're peeking into other
Kind of
universes.
like string theory.
Yeah, so like when we go to sleep over here, we go over there, and it's just a little less lucid. But my dream inside of a dream, I had 2 of them so far. I'll do my everyday routine one because that one's pretty freaky because it's really routine. That's why it played out the way it did. So back in like early 2000s, I was living in Arizona. 2000, like after 2007, and I was working at Fry's at the time, and I remember like everyone has a routine when they wake up. So I usually have my phone under my pillow, and I can reach my right hand, grab it, turn off my phone when the alarm goes off, and so I'm sleeping. Alarm goes off, 8 o'clock or whatever time it is, like clockwork. I get up, brush my teeth. Well, I go to the bathroom, take a piss, brush my teeth. I walk out the door. As soon as I walk out the door, I wake up back in my bed, and I was just like, "The fuck?" Because I did my everyday routine, so I didn't question anything.
That's made me late before because I'd be like dreaming of my routine.
Yeah.
So like instead of when I hear the alarm, I'm still just doing my routine though, and so I don't wake up because I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So that was my first like dream inside of a dream, and then my next one. And this one where it gets kind of crazy is, so it was just before I was enlisted going to MEPS, and it's the same apartment, and there's like a little window over to my left hand side, and it's the tiniest window. So I'm looking at that, and it's like super bright outside, almost like a goldish orange hue, and I see an LMTV drive by. At this time, I don't know what an LMTV is. But I see this vehicle drive by.
So what an LMTV is, for those who don't know, is just a big fucking truck, like a borderline 18. I think
Army truck.
It's like a
military
6-wheel army truck.
Yeah.
For transporting cargo or people.
So like I'm laying in bed and I see this fucking LMTV go by, and I'm just like, what is that? And I don't 100% recall if there's people in there or not. There must have been. And somehow, like, I wake up from that, but I don't really wake up. I transition, and like when I'm transitioning, no. That was the second dream. That was the second dream. So the dream before that, I was basically in that light, but I had a creamsicle, and I remember eating the creamsicle. And I don't know if you had this, but I 100% could describe the flavors of the creamsicle. Like, I could taste it in my mouth, like eating the creamsicle.
Senses in your dreams are weird, especially
Yes.
when it comes to like tastes and smells and stuff. Because I almost feel like, obviously, vision and audio is weird too. Because I know I can like hear things in my dreams, but I can't remember like pitch or tone or volume because it's your mind.
It's like in The Matrix when he's like, "What is real? Real is just electrical synapses firing in your brain,
Yeah.
telling you you're feeling something."
Definitely, like we've even done it in waking life. I can guarantee you, we've all had some Sprite and we picked up a cup and like, oh man, the Sprite's gonna be so good, and you drink it and it's fucking water, and your brain's like, oh, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, it was literally one of those.
Or
scenarios.
vice versa,
It's the
and you're
same
like,
way-
"Damn, that's some spicy water."
So like you're, because think about how complex it is to hear different types of words that like sound similar based on like, and just like communication in general, because it's based off of vibrations in your
Yeah.
ear. And so sometimes you can hear someone say something that they didn't say because your brain vibrated in a certain way that it does tell you they said something a certain way.
Oh yeah.
And so like it's
Like when
it's
you're
funny
li-
when
like-
people are arguing like, you did say that. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And literally they did say that, but to you they really didn't because your brain told you they said a different word.
Or like when you're listening to music and you hear somebody yelling your name, and you gotta pause your music and
Right.
be like, "The hell?"
Like, who said that?
So I want to get into any
I'm
prediction-based dreaming. Dream the future.
So I got one for you.
Times y'all have dreamt something that either A, like 100% was the future, or just like you're doing something and you're like, wait a minute. I remember dreaming this
yeah.
forever ago,
Yeah.
and I remember thinking about, what is this? And now I'm living it.
So in 10th grade, I started taking the drama classes,
Mm-hmm.
which at my school, the drama class had nothing to do with the actual theater program. It was just like, basic drama shit, get your arts credit or whatever. And like I started taking a drama class because I was interested in doing film, and I wanted to do the closest thing I could to that and get a feel. So I took the drama class, wasn't involved in the theater program, and one time I had a dream. And the way like that classroom was set up is it was like all brick wall and shit like that, like big like gray center blocks, and then it had a door that led out to the stage. So I remember like I had a dream where I was chilling in that room, and I was like just hanging out with all these people that I knew, like I went to school with, but they weren't people I hung out with. And I remember waking up being like, well, why the fuck would I hang out with those people? Like I know them, I've gone to school with them for years, but they're not my friends, they're not my group. I don't associate with them. Well, the next year, I started actually involving myself in the theater program, and one time during our seminar hour, which is like every Wednesday, it's just like an hour for you to have the opportunity to go to the class where you need the most work, whatever. So I would take that time, go to the drama room, and just fucking chill for like an hour because I was always caught up in school because I took the skate classes. And I was sitting there with like all those same people from my dream who were a part of that group, and like no shit, like in the order on what couch they were sitting on and what seat, and like who I was like bullshitting with at the time. Like I had to take a second and stop and be like, did I dream this like last fucking year? Like I wasn't even friends with all y'all, but like here we are right now in this moment. It was weird.
So I got one. Mine's is a little bit more morbid. So my dad recently passed away last year before deployment. And this throughout as long as I can remember. I knew my dad was going to pass away before like anything. I didn't know when, but I knew he was going to be the first one to pass away, like out of my mom and my dad. Because I would always wake up and like from every dream, every now and again, even in my recent like older years, crying over my dad that he passed away. So from like even when I was real young, I knew my dad was the first to pass away. Eventually, he did pass away, and I was like, so that was something I've never like told my mom, I think my wife knows. I remember told my sister, but I'm like, I knew he was going to pass away first because I always would dream. I would always dream of his like almost like energy because I never saw him in my dreams, I never heard him in my dreams, but I would wake up from my dreams crying about my dad.
Damn.
And that was like that was my only real connection. I'm like, okay, I know something's gonna happen to my dad at some point.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I did want to, because you mentioned like talking about the people that you didn't really hang out with being in your dreams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if y'all have ever had like a dream where like I guess the main characters in the dream or your partner or the main point of conversation between you and another person is some person that you like barely knew and they like make up most of your dream. and it's just like someone you
It's
barely
someone
interacted
you know,
with.
but like
You know them,
you're not like,
or it's like
involved
just someone
with
you're
them.
like kind of friends with, or used to be friends with, or like an old relative, or just some person you've seen before, and they're the main part of your dream. I always feel like I don't know. It feels like it's purposeful, and it like makes me want to reach out to that person because it's happened like oftentimes where I'll be like having a dream, and it's just like someone I hadn't talked to in a long time is like the main character in the dream, like oh shit.
And that's
we
usually a
just
good
did this.
segue to hit people like, hey, I know it's random hitting you up, but I had a dream about you recently. Just make sure you're good. This
And
is what
then
happened.
Every time, no way. I had a dream about you.
Mm.
We're all connected. Y'all
We
ever
just need-
have dreams
Yeah.
where someone else has the same type of dream or something like that at the same time?
So my buddies right now, like, so I have like my buddies from my old unit. They were super big in spiritual stuff. We talk about that. That's like a huge like talking point in our group text. So right now they spend a lot of their time on the war planet, and it's crazy because you would think it's like mostly bullshit, but we'll text each other for the most part to them three because I'm very like I just go to the void. I don't really dream. And they'll be like, who the fuck pulled me out my dream? Like that's how they'll start a text message, and then one of them will be like, my bad, and then he'll be like explaining something, or he'll start a sentence and he'll be explaining something. The other one will be like, yeah, because we did this, this, and this, and this.
What the fuck?
Like, and they do this a lot, and we do this a lot in the group. They were like, and that's why I said, oh, or did you go to the war planet? And so the big thing they always tell about me, they're like, yeah, like you may not remember your dreams, but we see you all the time.
I
He's
think
like, you're
that
on the
like
war planet.
you
fucking
can
shit
get
up.
like
Oh shit.
I don't know. There's too much that leans me towards believing in like a spiritual world. The fact that there's a creator, based on like just the evidence, you know, and how much there is. But I feel like you can get connected with people like spiritually, and y'all can inadvertently affect each other, like when you're not even near each other.
Yeah, and we're like super super close. Like it's crazy because we were talking about it. Like damn, like we've kind of known each other for 7 years now, and like we're all out the military. We all live in different states. Like one's in Hawaii, one's up north in New York. The closest one is in Virginia, and we're just like super close knit. Like we talk about the same
It's
stuff.
like how twins are.
Yeah.
Like identical twins.
Yeah.
Like they did a study where they had like two identical twins who like grew up separately, and they both ended up in the same location doing the same job, like living the same type of life, just because they're like so connected, and they ended up meeting anyway, like without being like forced to.
They're
Yeah,
drawn to one
there
another.
was a podcast I listened to, Supernatural with Ashley Flowers, and like she did a podcast on two twins who were like I don't remember exactly what happened, but I want to say they died at the same time, like on opposite ends of the country.
That's wild.
Y'all ever have dreams where both you wake up and you're like, that was exactly how that dream was supposed to go. I made all the decisions that I should have made because that was a dream and I can't do that kind of stuff in real life. Or B, you wake up and you're like, damn, like
I made all the wrong decisions.
I wasted that dream.
I've been there.
I can't say so. So one thing I'm interested in is like your epic dreams, where it's like a big epic story.
Oh, you want to hear my big dream story?
Yeah.
All right, so this was back 2014, Fort Bliss, Texas. I was still in the transition barracks. I was still in like the barracks I was supposed to be in, but I was on the first floor. The very end of the hallway was transition barracks because they haven't given me my permanent room yet. And it's crazy. So the whole dream starts bad. The whole dream plays out backwards. When I wrote the dream down, I wrote it forward, so it made more sense after I wrote it. So I starts out with me in a hospital, and I have documents in my hand, and I'm running through the hospital, like, and they're like, "Hey, stop him!" Like they're trying to get me, but they're getting me because I was like a patient in the hospital, but they're also trying to get me because I'm running around in my army underwears, like my tan underwears. Like I specifically remember I'm running in tan underwears. And I'm like, I have these documents, but the documents, there's nothing in them, but there's like an X and an O, and like they're like red and black. The X and O, like two stickers. And I'm like, damn, like, and I think there was one sheet in there, but I'm like, damn, why are they after me for these documents? So I'm running, and I get into this room. And there's this like super high tech computer, almost like LED, like touchscreen, like something you would see like in a futuristic movie. And for some reason, I don't know how to work it, or like work the computer. So I'm going to the computer, and I found a document, and it was like new hospital, William Beaumont's being built. William Beaumont, though, is the hospital on Fort Bliss. That's the actual name of the hospital. So I'm running through this, and I get these documents, and I get out the hospital, and next thing I know, I end up at a German bar, and all this stuff is going to play together, and I end up at this German bar, and I walk into the German bar, and there's like 3 women there. One lady has a book, another lady's throwing. One lady has so they're all like fortune tellers. One lady has a book
the fates.
So one lady has a book who's reading out of the book, like to tell your fortune. A second lady's throwing bones, and a third lady is throwing tarot cards. And I walk up to the lady throwing tarot cards, and I'm like, oh, I have a deck of tarot cards in my room. And I do own a deck of tarot cards in my room. Something happened to communicate with her, and I end up, the lady who's throwing bones is like, well, throwing sticks. She was like, oh, this, and this, saying some other stuff. And I'm like looking, but I'm not really paying attention because I don't understand. And then the final lady with the book, I can see her, she's going through the book, and she was like, the only thing that I specifically remember her telling me is like, you must let her go. I was like, okay, I know what you're talking about. Cool, whatever. But like, as she's telling me this, like, I'm looking at the book, and there's a tree burning in the book. And like, I'm staring at the tree, and then I see like a little figure like lean out from behind the burning tree. And I'm like, the fuck is that? And then he goes back behind the tree again. And he like, I was like, did you see that? She's like, and basically she was like, you'll see whatever you see. And
So real quick, just because I think it's super interesting, I had to look it up to like find out a little more information. That you said that there were 3 women who were doing something.
yeah.
In like ancient Greek mythology, there's the Fates,
Mm-hmm.
which are 3 women who are usually like working on a loom or a spinner, and they're like tied in with destiny and shit. So there's the 3 of them. There's the Clotho, which is the spinner, the Lachesis, the Allottor, and the Atropos, which is the unturnable, or the metaphor for death. So I just think it's pretty crazy that there were those 3 fortune teller women each doing something different.
Yeah. And it was in a German bar. I was like, so after all that happens, I leave that bar. Fast forward into waking life. The 365 freeway is on the backside of Bliss. I don't remember if that's exactly the freeway. But like, so I'm driving that freeway, going to Chick-fil-A, and lo and behold, there is a second hospital being built right behind Fort Bliss. Like, it's another hospital for Fort Bliss. And I'm like, holy shit! For the longest, because I was still new there, I didn't register that William Beaumont was the name of the main hospital that I've been to before. Like when I had to go do,
click.
Yeah. So I was like, is that the name of it? And then I finally went over there, like, no, William Beaumont's the current hospital they have, and this is the hospital they're building. I didn't know. I never knew anything about a second hospital being built, and I found that. So coming back on base, for some reason I'm on main post, because Bliss is kind of broken up into 2. It's like main post and east post, and then you have over the bridge. So I came on main post, which is like the original older part of Fort Bliss, and I actually came through Buffalo Soldier Gate, and I'm going straight, and I barely go through this gate. I drive straight, and this kind of like freaked me out, but in the sense of, hey, you should go there. As I'm making my immediate right to go towards back to take like the back way to the east side of Bliss, I see a German bar on base right in front of me, and I'm just like, should I go in there? I never went in there, but I'm like, should I go in there? Like, everything that happened in my dream, for the most part, had showed up in my waking life. Hospital showed up, the German bar showed up. I'm just like, I don't understand why I had documents and why I was on the run with documents, and the only thing my brain could process at the time was, you'll probably be doing this in group someday, and this is what you'll be having to do. And I'm like, but that was the only parts, like, why did I have documents? Why was I being chased? Why did I get to a computer and I was able to use it, but I found information about a hospital that wasn't even being built yet? Like, they didn't even have the skeletal system up yet. It was just, you see all the construction gear out there, and you're like, yeah, every time I drove by, people were like, they're building a hospital there. They're building a brand new hospital there. I was like, what? So that's like my epic dream story.
So do you think that's like you just not noticing that you're seeing like the German bar where you're driving around
Could be.
town, and then it just pieces it together. What stands out to me is the fates, and even with like the German thing, like there's like a Slavic Germanic version of the fates called the Norns, which is basically the same concept as like the Greek. So that's what stands out to me the most. That's fucking crazy.
Cause like so that German bar, I'm like, there is possibilities that I've could seen it and never registered it. There is, so the German artillery is on base. Like they have like a little section on Fort Bliss over there. So they kind of have like their own little like hole and niche over there because they're like a foreigner. So they have like their own little section they like to do, but they have other stuff. And the baseball fields would drive past that. But where that bar was, it's like you would have to you pass it off the main street, but it's like down the street a little bit further. Like you'd have to look down the street and then like actually look for it to see it.
Yeah.
And so I spotted it because I happened to be at the light looking down, and I was like, "That's a German bar right there." I was like, "That's weird."
Whenever I have like there's different types of dreams, obviously, and I almost can like I know what type of dream I'm having while I'm in the dream and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there'll be like the dreams where it's like, okay, this is leaving off where I stopped a while ago, or this is a new dream. This is a lucid dream, and I've got some journey, but I can do whatever I want, free roam. But sometimes I'll have dreams where it's just like real short dreams, like super short
RPG.
yeah, MMO dream.
I'm the
it's an
Lord of
FPS dream.
I'm the Lord of Light.
I'll have real quick dreams, and it's like real short scenarios, like 30 seconds
That's
of
what I
me
mean,
interacting with something or someone, and oftentimes, like all of these dreams, I almost know immediately. These are the dreams where this is going to happen sometime in my future, because it's every single time it's happened, and it's like things I've never interacted with. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like I know I've never interacted with this. I'm going to store this in the back of my brain, and then like 7 years later when it happens, I literally like freeze. And it happened recently because I work at a sales job now, and like the exact same system, and like I remember the dream, and I'm like thinking like, what is this weird computer system? Like, what is this program? Who's this people? What's this like desk and everything? Like these like items and stuff. And then like when it happens, it's like the exact same scenario in real life, like no deviation. And I'm just like,
kicked in, but you're like, I know where this comes from.
This is the exact program. I know what these items are now. Like I stored this in my mind forever ago, knowing knowing it would happen, because it's happened before like that, and like maybe once or twice a year it'll happen. Probably more like once a year, and I'll just sit there and I'll just, holy shit, like why did I dream this? And I try and rationalize it, because I think as adults you try and rationalize everything, and I try and tell myself, no, you didn't dream it probably. Obviously it's just like your brain's tricking you. But I like so consciously stored in my brain that I know that I actually dreamt it before. And that scares me, because I had this one dream that was like all my other, this has happened before, like real snippets.
Yeah.
But it was a guy that stepped into my car in a parking lot that wasn't supposed to be there, and he pulled a gun on me, and I grabbed his face and I stuck my thumbs through his eye sockets, and I just kept pressing, and just like as he was screaming, I just like could feel his life fading away, knowing I was killing him. And then I grabbed his gun and started shooting him, and like
you were like,
and it was it. That was the dream, and it felt the exact same as.
You're like,
and so now, like now I've got like this idea in my head, like, when is that gonna
So now
happen?
someone's gonna get in your car, and you're just gonna be like, do you know what happens next? Are you in a dream right now?
He's like, go ahead,
bro,
and pull that gun.
he's literally gonna call us and he's like, so what happened? They're like, what happened? The dream.
You are receiving a call from the Fayetteville Police Department for Jarvis Carden.
Would you like to accept these charges? Send it through.
Fuck. So on Big Epic Dreams, and this one's always stuck out to me because it played out so. It was like how you were saying earlier. Hey, you had like this month-long dream. Like this dream lasted several months.
Man, it's crazy, because when you wake up, you feel like either I wasted that whole life or I'm wasting this whole life because there's too much time going into either of these things.
So it started.
You feel like, oh, what the fuck?
You were like, how did I invest so much time?
It started out pretty normal. Like I was with my theater.
Sherry, you were so real to me. Sorry, because
Like our Rick and Morty when they're playing that fucking game. I can't believe you went back to the carpet store after beating cancer. So it started out with like my theater troupe, and then we get word that there's just like this weird mutation. People are attacking people. We're like, ah, fuck. Oh god, this is the apocalypse. So we all go down into the tunnels.
apocalypse dreams are cool.
And for whatever reason, there
My
was
wife
this
gets those all the
massive
time.
tunnel system underneath.
What's up?
My wife gets those all the time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for whatever reason, there's this massive tunnel system underneath my small Kansas hometown.
it only makes sense
Yeah, it was all normal to me.
because you've been preparing for it for a lifetime.
Oh yeah, so you go into this crazy tunnel system, but turns out the fucking apocalyptic demon virus was down there. So that's
Oh, no.
it's all these people, and they just like, I don't even like. They're like vampire zombies. Like their bodies are decrepit, but they're still intelligent. And we're like sneaking around and like, fucking. I see like the student teacher, and she's been infected, and she like tries to kill me, whatever. And then we make it into this room. And they have like bedrooms and society, like a little society down there, and they're like, you know, probably planning like, oh, we're gonna go up and fucking take this town and act all, and they sleep on like these wacky ass beds of spikes and nails, and I'm in this room just like taking wave on after wave of like killing these fuckers, and like I remember one dude I grabbed and I just like impaled him on his bed of spikes, but we finally make it out, and the only like people left are me and this girl, and I've never met this girl. I don't even like remember what her face was.
I've met her too in a dream.
Yeah, she didn't exist.
She comes and goes, you know.
She wasn't a real person, or maybe she is. I just haven't met her yet, but which would be fucking whack.
Likely, statistically speaking.
And we come out of the woods into like, or we come out of the tunnels into this wooded area, and it's like all the trees are dead. If you've ever seen The Road with Viggo Mortensen, it looked like that, like leaves on the ground, just this fog rolling through it. There's always a cloudy overcast. It's cold, and there's
That's
this
my
big.
kind of weather.
It's spooky.
That's my kind of weather.
Spooky dude.
But there's this big fucking like lake to the side of us, and we're like kind of walking on like the beach, I guess, and we find this bridge that goes out to the middle of the lake, and it's a massive fucking bridge, like suspension and everything. And in the middle of the lake, there's this house sitting on a little island, and we go to the house, and it turns out that there's like almost a fucking mountain underneath in this lake where they've built a whole society of tunnels down there with like the survivors. So we lived there for months, and one time we're out and about, and we have like, we're bringing back firewood or whatever, and we're like crossing the bridge, and like the president of the society is running out to us on this bridge.
See, you can't tell me that all of that happened in 3 seconds. I'm just saying, like,
Hey, the mind played.
like
the worst
at least tell me it was the same length that you were asleep. At least.
I don't know.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
It lasted for so, like, I was
Because think about like a full movie, you know, a movie lasts 2 hours. Tell me your dream it was at least 2
I
hours.
don't know, but I was living
Few
in this
seconds.
society, and like me and this girl were in like a whole like relationship. Like the world had come to an end.
But we know time is relative.
See, if you can
Time is
absorb
relative.
that much information in a few seconds, why does school last so long? Like, get with it, scientists. Like, you're telling me I've got months worth of dream in 3 seconds? Why do I have months worth of school for months? Why can't it just Back to the Matrix.
Back
to the
Back to
Matrix.
the Matrix.
I know kung fu.
So we're walking on the bridge, and the president is like running out, and this bridge is long as fuck. I'd probably say like 6 or 7 football fields. It was a big ass lake, and he's running out to us, and he's like
Americans
shouting.
always measuring in football fields.
"We Americans, brother, you dango don't shoot, throw that
We do
foosball."
measure
That's about
everything in football
6
fields.
zebras tall. Just use meters, mate.
My dad was showing me all of his land when I went home on leave, and he's like, "Yep, this is my little area, my shooting range. I got about 9 more football fields out that way."
We were like, bruh.
So he's like shouting, and what he was
37,000 rifles long.
so, we talking 30-30s, we talking shotties, what we talk anyway. so he's running out and he's like hollering at us to fucking like run away, and like we can't really tell, so we start running towards him as he's like giving.
I think it's interesting in dreams how sometimes you know what they're saying, and in the dream your character doesn't, and you know your character doesn't, and you're like, it's like you're watching a movie, but you still have to play as the character.
Dramatic irony.
No, so that plays in perspective of like, have you had third person view?
Right,
dreams?
I've had first, second, third, fourth person views.
Sometimes it's at the same. Sometimes I am first person and third person simultaneously.
Sometimes I'm negative person in dreams, and I just can't explain it. You can't understand. But trust me, shit gets weird in dream world.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But we start running out to him, and like, I remember this so clearly. It was like this eldritch horror Cthulhu ass fucking, like, I don't even know if it was a tentacle, but something came out of the water, and it was just this
in quote. I don't even know if it was a tentacle.
That's what she said.
It was a guy.
But it's just this like massive spout of water and something coming out that just
We'll just say it's Cthulhu.
possibly, it was probably something bigger than Cthulhu, because it was I want to say an appendage of sorts, and the appendage that might have came out, because I really just remembered the water, and it was just this explosion of water that came up and fucking destroyed the bridge. Like, it was that massive, because it was a big bridge. It was wide too. Like,
I imagine seeing that and just like me being like, we're fucked, and then watching everybody else run. I'm like, there's no point.
There's no one else there. Everyone else had already been taken. It was like that president fella who was running out, or the leader of our little society, and like, it was in the middle of the bridge where that happened. And it happened so fast, because as soon as it blew up, and like whatever fucking tentacle, I assume, came out of the fucking water, like, because you couldn't even really see it, because that was like the first person experience, and I watched it just. And as soon as it like blew up the bridge, or not even blew up, just fucking wrecked it, just this giant like wave coming from down below or something, it just cut. Everything just cut. And then what it was this like, and I remember so specifically, it was a small hexagonal room, six sides, and it was just this grimy white like 4x4 tile that
Your
covered
brain
the whole
being
room.
put in like
so much detail.
So much detail, and like sometimes it just doesn't match with anything that happens like in the world, like hexagonal rooms and things like that.
Yeah,
or,
no doors,
like,
nothing.
I'll get into some stuff after you're done with this story.
This is where the dream was explained, and what it was is it was the girl, and she was standing there, and this is where I'm third person now, like a movie. I'm watching it as if it's in a movie.
But then you get woken up by Nan, and you're like, fuck. Nah, no.
I'd be so pissed because the conclusion of this is fucking wild.
You ever try and go back to sleep because you're like,
I need that.
it's been months. I needed to know what happened.
So it's the girl, and then it's me. But I'm like she's fine, but I'm like covered in water and like kind of like decrepit. Like, it looks like I'd been dead and buried for months.
Living on the ground.
Like, I was literally a dead body, but my dead body was being possessed by the devil, and I'm not religious. My dead body was being possessed by the devil to communicate with this girl. I don't even remember what her name was in the dream. I don't even think she had one. And the devil was saying that he sent this curse through my body, that he like sent this curse to destroy the world. He'd taken over, and this is the apocalypse and shit. And now like he had finally won. And then of course she's all poopy faced about it. And then out of like the cracks in the tile and the seams and shit, the fucking like. The walls start bleeding, and it's just rapidly filling up the fucking room with blood. And this girl's like, oh, hell no, I'm not going by drowning on blood. So what she does, and like, this is a little edgy, and I don't know why my little brain was so edgy, because I was pretty young when I had this dream. She just starts like fucking like finger fucking her throat so she can throw up and vomit, and her plan is to keep it all in and choke and drown on her own vomit, because she'd rather do that than drown in blood caused by the devil. And that was when I woke up, and I woke up like with my fingers down my throat, fucking like coughing and choking and shit.
Jesus.
And I stayed awake for a few hours after that, because I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was just like,
all that happened
what the fuck?
All that happened in between 4 a.m. and 4:01 a.m. according to Blake.
Yes.
between 4 minutes and 37 seconds and 4 minutes and 42 seconds. It was,
Pause.
and like I've never had another dream similar to that. Like that was just this crazy one-off that I've remembered for the past
Yeah, that
like
was the same
15
thing.
years probably.
Yeah, same thing with my fucking 3 German.
So life is running out of adventure, right? If you want some adventure, get a notebook and a pen and put it on your nightstand. And anytime you ever remember a dream, write it down. So then if you get in the routine of that, you start remembering it. Because the dream world is adventure. That's the craziest thing about dreams is it's like the last sense of true adventure now.
It's the last.
And
I
so
wouldn't say it's the last frontier because space is the last frontier.
The final frontier.
it is
Bro.
a frontier.
Yes, a frontier.
This
you
is
listen-
this is a frontier, man.
I would suggest you practice building your
Just start
spiritual
writing it down. And if you start writing it down, your brain just something happens to where you start to memorize it more and more. And if you write it down, it'll stay stored.
Yeah.
And so if you keep writing your dreams down, you'll start to actually be a little more conscious in the dreams, and then you
crazy.
can be a little adventurous.
It's crazy because the only reason I remember so much detail from that dream is one, yes, I wrote it down, but they also say go back and read them. Because once you read them, your brain starts picking up on cues. Because when I would go
Yeah.
back and read
Yeah.
them, that's when I realized
That's
like,
when you
I
start
wrote it,
like getting
I,
deeper into
and
the
I
next
wrote it
dream.
backwards.
And another thing to do too is to draw. So like, and I'm
Ooh.
by no means an artist, but I had
Just like something that can like get your brain to recognize exactly what you saw in the dream.
yeah. And the only reason I'm thinking about this is I just found one of my dream drawings recently because I remember waking up one time and like texting my girlfriend at the time about this dream that I had where I saw this like hooded figure who had a mask who was like trying to tell me something.
I had a symbol in my dream and I forgot all about it.
But I woke up and I
If
was
your dream's a little too scary, don't draw stuff down because who knows what you're about to summon on accident.
You will set yourself
but
up.
I woke up and I tried to draw the hooded figure in the mask, and it looks
Okay.
like shit, but you get a general idea of what's going on.
The thing is, as long as your brain can recognize, because it's like how you learn with smells, like, because it's like your sensory receptors are the strongest form of like what brings back memories in your brain. So like picking up on smells will be the
Instantly
easiest way
trigger
for
your
someone to
memory.
like trigger certain
Sometimes
memories.
a certain smell will take
So,
me
like,
back to
right.
when I was young.
Exactly.
How come I'm never able to identify where it's coming from?
Yeah. Sell some
That
candles.
part.
So
I'd make a candle out of it
yeah,
if I
and
ever
and
found it.
me and my brother are gonna sell that crap on the street.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, that's similar to how
we
the
have
lyrics
the
go.
same nose
Oh, same clothes, homegrown.
down the a stone's throw from the creek where we used to go.
Anyway, 21 Pilots Ride on iTunes.
Not even that song, but go on.
Yeah, it's
Stressed out.
stressed out. Anyway, before we close, I want us all to say another dream we've had, another funny or crazy dream we've had. All right, so I've got. This was all within those like mortal enemy of Cat in the Hat. So I had like 6 other crazy dreams that I wrote
I
down.
remember you telling me about that now that you say it.
It was so weird. I had to tell everyone. So you remember any of the other dreams I told you?
Just the ones where you murdering people, really.
That was most of them. Remember the one where I stuffed someone in an AC and then I broke the AC in half? But then he was just AC and I threw him out the window.
I think I remember that actually.
Yeah, so what happened was I was in a hallway and real short dream. There was this receptionist lady and then she was just gone and there was just the desk. And then there was this guy at the end of the hallway and he comes and he just starts beating the shit out of me. So I grab him and I open one of those like window AC units. Somehow it just is empty. There's no AC inside. It's just
It
the
was for
container.
show.
And then I
Display
stuff
model.
him inside it, although he was much larger than the box. And I grab it and I'm about to throw it out the window. But then I break the AC unit in half over my knee before I throw it out the window. And it's just broken, like the whole thing's made out of one piece of plastic. And there's no person inside anymore. And I throw it out the window. And then I go back in the little receptionist area. And I'm like, where is paper? Like, I'm looking for page 4. And I'm just like looking for some random page in this filing cabinet. And I'm like, I know it's in here somewhere. And then I wake up. Like, what page was I looking for? Who was the guy?
Who was the guy? Why
But,
was he in the AC?
No, one of the dream I was going to say, though, was a little more in depth than that. This one was weird, and I only remember it in bits and pieces. I have it written. I think I threw away the journal because the dreams were getting kind of weird, and I'm like, you know what? I need to get rid of this proof. Like, especially in the event that some reason, like, those are the real universes. Like, I don't need to incriminate myself that badly, because I did some bad stuff in some of these dreams.
Jarvis
Especially the one where I was in the Russian van, and, like, they kind of let me escape, because when I went to the drive-in movie theater, that was really packed before I got there. It was less packed when I left.
Yeah.
This man has committed several atrocities in Universe 6257.
That was bad, Rick. Anyway, so the really weird dream, I only remember in bits and pieces, but it was like this neighborhood that was a little bit off in the physics, and the construction was like the houses were all at different levels, and the yards were kind of intersecting, and like some of the fences were floating, and it was like daytime and nighttime, but there was also like a new time that wasn't either day or night that this universe had. But I remember it was me and a group of people from the deployment. I think you were in it, and like a couple other people, and then obviously like one or two random people from my past that I barely interacted were also part of the crew. Welcome to the squad. Hadn't seen you in 37 years. I'm not that old, but it has been 37 years.
In the dream.
In that dream.
It's been 3 seconds.
So 3 seconds, if I'm doing the math correctly. I don't know the exact formula.
3.1 seconds to be exact.
But, yeah, so we got the squad, right? And there's like 7 of us. And I remember, like, there's some sort of group of weird alien people chasing us with not, like, guns, but weapons. Not blades or, like, indescribable type weapons. And so either way,
the HP Lovecraft route, like,
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Oh, how crazy? Oh, you know, crazy.
Oh, I was gonna say something about HP Lovecraft that I can't say it. It's about his cat.
I digress.
Anyway, cool name.
Greg shaking his head.
Continue.
I saw a meme. We were getting away from these weird things with the triangle guns, and there was like this crawl space in the side of one of these houses that were a little bit too high, so we had to like climb into the crawl space and crawl through this tunnel. And we get into the room, and 6 of us went in, but only 4 of us came out, and everyone was just like, this is the group. It's been the group the whole time. Those people were never part of the group. And I was just like...
So they didn't die, they just stopped
Character
existing.
me is, like, even on the same page as third person me, and we're both like, hey, wait a minute, where are the other 2 guys? Everyone else is like...
They were never part of the group. Like,
get with the script. And...
Line.
Right. Yeah. So anyway... then there's like these 3 women in these like red strange dresses with these big red headpieces, and they've all got these bowls of rainbow liquid, and they're like telling us to sit down on these seats, and they're like, just wait with us. And then they take 2 of us, me and one other person, down 3 floors, and it's like this big closet that's set up like a mall. It's just like so many clothes, but it's like mall sized. And then the lady's like, dip your hands in the liquid, and it's like rainbow liquid. And I'm like...
Sounds pretty gay, if you ask me.
Yeah. And so I stick my hands in the liquid, and then, like, it portals me out. Like, I just get fucking beamed.
Like a body bag over here.
Don't open that.
Okay.
don't open that.
Yeah, I can't say too much.
Just leave it at that.
But anyway, get like teleported out of this like weird cult room, and then I'm in.
That's going to be very clear.
Man, this leak. Yeah. So next thing you know, I'm in Egypt, or so I think it is. It's like desert, and there's pyramids, and it's me and a partner, and it's sort of the end of the world. I don't know if you've ever played like a battle royale game where the ring is closing in.
Yes.
That's what was happening, but it was like, instead of like one big ring closing in, it was like a bunch of like hexagonal like rods from sky were beaming down, like energy
hell no.
rods, and it was like closing in and like crushing pyramids and stuff. And I'm just freaking running, and at some point I got a gun and I started shooting people while I'm running, and I'm just like killing these like, and it's like if you've ever seen like any movies like in Rio de Janeiro where they got like the stacked houses and stuff, that's how it was, but it was in the desert.
The favelas?
Yeah, so I'm like parkouring down these houses, like just shooting anyone that's in my way for no reason. Drop the gun, and then I like see this like door, and I'm like making my way for it. My partner gets freaking beamed by one of these hexagons, and doesn't even faze me. I'm like, just I need to make it to the door. And so I make it to the door, I go down some stairs, and it's like this bunker full of like 40-year-old white men in suits, like straight out of a like film about maybe like Russia is invading the Americas, and they're planning on like, oh, what's next? And it's just like the president and the vice president, blah, blah, blah. But they're just like sitting there, and they're all like discussing like, all right, well, the world just ended, but it was this person's fault, and they knew whose fault it was. And I'm just like in this room, and they're all like asking me for advice about like what we should do next. I'm like still really confused, because I still remember dipping my hands in rainbow liquid before I came here, and I'm like, that's still like a big part of my brain.
I almost
and
forgot
like,
about the rainbow liquid.
Where's that group, and where are they at right now? That was like I'm still like, that's what I was thinking about. And they're like asking me like, how do we solve the end of the world? You only have the answer about it. Like, I'm busy right now. I'm trying to figure out like just subconsciously where these people are. And that was that dream.
Shit.
Just weird stuff, you know? Dreams are
So, on like
really weird.
On like the first person, third person thing, I had this dream one time, and it was another like eldritch horror apocalypse movie. But in this one, I was a detective. I even had a fedora.
He official.
And I was investigating. I was
Oh, there you are, Perry.
I was detectivating the end of the world, the apocalypse, because it didn't start out like that. It started out as like a series of murders, but it was there were two stories happening at the same time, and one was like the initial investigation, and one was like 15 years later after things had like gone to shit. And the thing I remember most is like at one point I was like in a warehouse in both timelines, and in like the second time there was this giant like Silent Hill kind of monstrous worm type thing that was just there, just chilling. And I was talking to this old lady, and the old lady could see the timelines, and she was like trying to like tell future me something that my younger self needed to know, but somehow I was still able to get it, and I was like having this crazy moment. And then like,
your past and your future were connected.
Yeah, it was.
So she was like, as long as I tell you, he's gonna know.
Yeah, it was fucking wild. But how that ties into the first person and third person simultaneous is that she handed me this like package, and the package was like, it wasn't a box. It was like something that had been wrapped up like with paper. It was like this little like oval shaped pill thing that was just probably like a foot long, and it was pretty thick. And I'm like looking at it, and on the paper that was wrapped, there's just like things written all over it. And as I'm looking at it, it's like very important to saving the fucking world. And I'm looking at it, and like, I don't know if you can read in dreams, but I can't. So like,
it's like menial tasks that sometimes are just impossible.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to focus in on these words so hard, and like look at.
For me, I can't like eat things or drink things in dreams or taste things. Like when it comes to food, never once have I like consumed something in a dream.
Right. So I'm like looking at this shit, trying to figure out what it read, and then I like, and my third person me and my first person me are at the same time like, motherfucker, this is your brain. You wrote this. Why the fuck can't I read it? It's like, this is like and I'm like, I'm so into it. I'm like, the fate of the universe is on your hands, and you can't even
literally
read
looking at
shit
the key,
you
the key
came
to
up
life.
with, motherfucker.
He's looking at the source code in real time. He was like, yeah, we can't let you see that. Can't let you see the source code, because if you just even write this down, like, you'll break reality.
I was so mad. The feather in my fedora was trembling.
Sending back the signal like...
when you your subconscious is more aware of how dumb you are than your conscious brain is.
It's like, you wrote it!
Wake up call. Hey, you're dumb. And we just thought we might tell you. Like, go try and learn something when you wake up.
The vibe of that dream was dope. It was like a David Fincher movie.
No, that was like the meme I saw. He was like, there's two little quotes,
Dreams
and
be
the dude
vibing,
looking
though.
at it, he was like, learn to read or $1 billion. He was like, learn to read. Fuck, because he didn't know how to read. Because he didn't know what $1 billion was because he couldn't read.
That's a good one.
Those are some symbols, though.
This sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Yeah, why wouldn't I pick that one?
I have a lot more to say, but
I
don't
got
want it
a
to be
really,
too
I got a really
lengthy, you know?
short dream. We can end it off here. This is pure entertainment dream. Play a lot of Apex, so it's inevitable that I would dream about Apex. So I think in my first person view, I was Loba, real life Loba, and I was fighting the Crypto and Horizon. And I remember Crypto sitting over his drone, trying to EMP me, and I was like, took off my little bracelet. I was like, not today, bitch, and threw it out the ring. I was like, yeah, popped out of the bubble while he's like,
there's a play you've been trying so hard in a video game that your brain's just like, you know what? I got you, fam.
Yo, like,
you can do it in your dream.
So,
I pulled off a clutch move in there, and I was like, man, if your team wasn't behind, because I was revving it, and I was at World's Edge, and we were fighting just above, it's like just next to the tower, and dude, I was like lighting up his Octane, and he was like trying to beam me. He came around the corner, I was like, psych, bitch, and I called this like 20-foot wall, got over top, jumped on the other wall, jumped back down, got behind him, and lasered him, and then his teammate was like, I was like,
I used to play this game on my phone, and it was just like literally like a grid square with these different colored dots, and you'd have to draw the dots in a way to connect them, and it was like a little puzzle.
yeah.
And I played that so much, I don't know why, but it just like was so interesting to me, so I played it for hours. It was a little brain game.
Games
And
like
then-
that, like the creators of those games are like so smart because it's such a low effort, high profit type of game.
Oh,
like
yeah.
those simple games on phones.
But I'd play through like 100 fucking levels in like a day, because like I was just like, I gotta beat this fucking puzzle.
Damn, let me get them digits. I didn't know you had it like that.
Oh no, bro, what I'm talking about. But I fucking like when I fall asleep,
I'm not gay though.
My dream would be me like Tron level, like on my little bike, like trying to fucking solve these puzzles.
Tron has
And
a
I-
great soundtrack, by the way.
Oh, Daft Punk's?
Yeah.
Bro. But I'd be fucking trying to like solve these puzzles in my dreams, like I'm on the grid, and I was like, I gotta stop playing. I uninstalled it from my phone.
For those listeners out there, when you're finished listening, go out there and have a good dream, okay? Like
We'll let you
from
do
me
that.
to you, like I'm giving you some good dream energy, and if you don't have a good dream tonight, like you don't know me well enough. If
Chase the
you
stars.
can't accept my energy, then you need to call me and be like, "Hey, why aren't we close enough?"
Close enough.
Anyway, I'm Blake.
Jarvis,
And I'm Greg.
this has been the Foxhole episode 5.
And listeners, are you in a dream?
Are you? Pinch yourself.
No!
No.